So the marking scheme when your exam is being corrected, it's used by examiners, and there's a 2-day training for both junior cert and leaving cert on how to correctly interpret and apply this scheme. So it's just so you know that it's a very robust system. And then if an examiner during the course of correcting papers isn't sure what to do, they can contact their advising examiner. And furthermore, there's about 7 or 8 advising examiners in the country, and then they report up to a chief examiner. Typically, there may be someone in between called a chief advising examiner. Okay, so what happens is we get together in June and correct a few what are called exemplar papers that are taken from the exam papers, and we're kind of trained on them. We should all be getting the same results if we're applying them fairly, and so we have to make sure we're applying the provisional marking scheme correctly. So there's a few things to note that, and I'm going to read this carefully. In the case of marking schemes that include model solutions or answers, which this one does, it would be noted these are not intended to be exhaustive. Now, they tend to be quite exhaustive in that they can put in 7 or 8 different solution paths, but variations and alternatives may also be acceptable that you the candidate will come up with. So you might hear me talk about variations and alternatives. It's just important that you know that there's more than 1, 2, 3, 4 ways to correctly do a question. And what you're trying to do all the time is find the faster of the ways, really, but also to understand the most general ways. Okay, and then the other thing is things like saying we can leave out the euro symbol and you get full marks, and just general things like that. You should never assume for sure that it's going to continue on the following year. So that's when they talk about future marking schemes. Assumptions about future marking schemes on the basis of past schemes should be avoided. Okay, and that's why we show some work. Throughout the marking scheme, you'll see over and over again that accept answers without work. It's more common than not. And that's to do with the use of calculators, that often a student can put the question into the calculator and get the correct answer. Or indeed the steps are so simple and the student's knowledge is so strong that they can answer the paper. Again, while I will remind you that sometimes I would say yes, you'll get full marks for that, we do always want to write something down. Okay, we don't want to write down too much either, as you'll see. We don't, just because when you're learning it you might put in quite a few steps. It's not as if you need to include every single logical step in going from the question to the answer. And that's why I'll continually grade my work against the official marking scheme while I'm making videos of past papers. That's it. As always, students, I will see you in the next one.